What did heaven look like? We often wonder, did ancient Christians have any other visions of hell besides the one we find in the book of Revelation? And what might those visions have looked like? Was there perhaps an ancient Jewish vision of heaven that made its way into early Christian tradition? Imagine if you could see God's throne or peer into the fiery depths of hell. What would you see? What would that teach you? What might you even hear? Today we are going to explore one ancient Jewish apocalyptic text that gives us a glimpse into the visions of heaven and hell. The text is known as 3 Baruch, probably written between the 1st–3rd century CE. It gets its name from the fact that it was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in Cave 3. 14 copies of this work were discovered, making it one of the most frequently represented books among the sectarian writings. Our story begins with Baruch, a righteous man who dies and goes to heaven. He journeys through 7 levels of heaven, each more glorious than the last, with his guide being the angel Gabriel. On his journey, he meets other heavenly beings who serve as his guides and helpers. These include Michael, who assists him in crossing over from earth to heaven, and Raphael, who helps him ascend to the highest heavens. Let's take a quick look at what he experiences on his heavenly journey. At the first gate of heaven, the angels tell him that the course of history is like the flow of a river, continually moving toward God's final judgment. They also reveal the secrets about creation, telling him that the world was created in 6 days, not by the hands or the power or the wisdom of any created being, but by the word of God. They also tell him that only God knows the number of the stars, which was hidden from the beginning and will only be revealed in the end. At the second gate, the angels show him the different types of human souls, some destined for everlasting life, others for eternal death. He witnesses the heavenly court where books are opened and the deeds of humanity are recorded. And, wait, the third gate leads him to a garden of delights, where the righteous enjoy peace and happiness. But soon he hears a terrifying sound like the noise of a mill, accompanied by 4 dreadful voices that threaten punishment. This leads him to the 4th gate, where he sees the dragon and its fallen angels imprisoned in darkness. The dragon is described as having 7 heads and 10 horns, a beast from the abyss with eyes like burning torches and feet like chariots. At the 5th gate, he sees the punishment of the wicked, who are compared to refuse that has been gathered in a heap. They are tormented day and night, but not eternally. There is hope for their future restoration. At the 6th gate, he witnesses the resurrection of the dead, both the righteous and the wicked, who will appear before God for final judgment. Only those whose deeds are found good will receive everlasting life. The 7th and final gate leads into the highest heaven, where he sees God's throne. He hears the sound of harps and the voice of the Most High, who speaks to him and reveals more secrets about the creation of the world and the purpose of human life. Unlike Revelation, which is highly Christocentric, the 3 Baruch is more symbolic and less focused on Jesus. It depicts a more universal vision of cosmic justice, portraying the fate of humanity as intrinsically tied to the order of the cosmos itself. In fact, it's often difficult to discern what specifically is Jewish and what specifically is Christian in this text, given that it predates the New Testament and fits comfortably within a broader Jewish apocalyptic tradition. So, what should we make of this text? First of all, it shows how ancient believers wrestled with the same questions we wrestle with today, namely, what happens after we die? Is there a heaven and a hell? What do they look like? And what do they teach us about God and ourselves? Secondly, while it was never included in the Hebrew Bible or the New Testament, it was considered part of what scholars call the pseudepigrapha, meaning books written in the pseudo or false name of someone else. In this case, Baruch was an early Jewish sage who lived in the 2nd century BCE, but the book was not written until sometime later. Because of this, and because of its late date. It was never included in either Jewish or Christian canon. Nevertheless, it reflects an ancient Jewish perspective on the afterlife that may have influenced later Christian thought. So, what can we take away from this exploration of 3 Baruch? Perhaps it can teach us the importance of studying the broader historical and cultural context of the Bible. While not a biblical book, it reflects the kind of questions people were asking 2 millennia ago and the kinds of answers they came up with. It can also teach us about the richness and diversity of ancient religious thought. Finally, it reminds us that the Bible isn't the only ancient text that can shed light on the beliefs and practices of past cultures. By exploring these so-called lost books, we can gain a deeper understanding of the historical Jesus and the world in which he lived. So, while you may not find definitive answers about what heaven looks like, you might find some pretty compelling imagery